right, guys, here we go. Game 1 between our two Terran champions here on IPL Fight Club. In the top right, not Red, he's not in this match. Maybe someday. I'd love to have him on Fight Club sometime, actually. In the top right part of the map, in the red, from the team Dignitas, coming back and winning 5 games in a row after it being down 0-4 against Zaka, it is SjoW. And down the bottom left, in the blue, from the team, the SCV Life, a very strong Terran player from Korea, it is Polt.
All right, so Polt going up against SjoW now. Cross positions in Toon Valley to start things off for this TVT best of 9. And we mentioned before, Polt probably has the edge, not even probably, does have the edge historically if you look at his matchups and stuff like that. But SjoW has shown himself to be very resilient in the way that, I mean, I hate to say it, we kind of had him counted down and out when the wins started piling up for Zaka, and then SjoW was able to make an incredible comeback.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a crazy match. If you haven't watched it, definitely go to the IGNProLeague channel on YouTube and check out those VODs. Lots of other VODs there, too. So definitely a good place to spend an afternoon or something if you're, if you're sick or something, staying home from school. You don't really want to move around a lot. That's a great time.
That's true.
To go to IGN YouTube, IGNProLeague on YouTube, and watch some VODs.
I like that. That's a perfect way to spend an afternoon, if you ask me. But
or Diablo 3. I mean,
well, of course.
Probably VODs. I feel like I should say VODs, because I work here, but
yeah,
I'm thinking Diablo 3
You're
right now.
Playing a lot of Diablo
I'm sorry.
3. That's all right.
I'm so addicted to this game.
It's fun. I enjoy it, but I don't understand why everyone went gaga so quickly over it. So,
it's a new Diablo game.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of nostalgia to it. Of course, I played a ton with my friends back in the day and all that. And this one, it's a good successor. It's pretty decent. I haven't played through much of the game yet. I haven't had a lot of time,
Sure.
but I've enjoyed the bit of it that I've seen so far.
And Polt's actually going to command center first. SjoW, on the other hand, slightly less greedy, is going to go for a 1 Rex gasless fast expand. And already an SUV being sent down to go ahead and construct that. First barracks coming up now for Polt as well. Yep. So very, very quick expansion out of him. We'll see if he's able to take advantage of that. Second barracks on the way. We'll probably see another one following that up here in a bit after second supply depot.
Yeah, I think it just kind of shows the confidence that Polt has against SjoW right now, going into this. I mean, SjoW is known in Korea. People do know about him. Of course, he did live out there for a while and played a little bit. And a lot of, players kind of, they were like, hey, this guy's pretty good. He got overall favorable reviews from the Korean players I talked to, so he is respected to a certain extent over there.
8++, would play against again.
That's
his
right.
eBay rating.
So it's not like Polt has, no experience at all with SjoW going into this.
And we'll see how he wants to react to his opponent's style. Of course, SjoW, as we kind of notice, is, going for a third command center right away and scouted at the beginning of this game. So Polt, one of those players that's very, very tricky. A guy who can throw a lot of different looks at you. Yeah. So very important player to scout. If SjoW is going to scout anyone, I'd say Polt is a good player to start with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a player that has such a wide range of what he can do in a game, especially a mirror matchup. He's got a ton of different builds. It's a little bit dangerous, I think, going economically greedy against Polt. He's one of the best players in StarCraft 2 of punishing that sort of thing. So with this fast third command center by SjoW, if Polt picks up on this, he may need to be very, very careful to defend any sort of response that our blue Terran player would have for him.
Now, I'm curious where SjoW is going to go from here. He's on 3 command centers, and he double-gassed before putting down a second barracks or anything along those lines. Are we going to see quick mech? Are we going to see a couple more additional barracks thrown down here in a second? Looks like he is running out with 1 SEV, and just a bunker going up at the front for now. So we'll see later what his infrastructure is going to be. Polt, on the other hand, is going up to a factory, bypassing those add-ons for now.
Yep, Polt does like to get Banshees oftentimes in TVT, so that may be what he's kind of thinking this time around, too. I think we're going to see a few more. Oh, never mind. We're not going to see a few more barracks. We're going to actually see a factory from SjoW and a little bit of Reactor and Hellion action. So if Polt does decide to go Banshees, that may end up being a bit tricky for SjoW. He's still going to have a decent amount of Marines up, but they're not going to have any upgrades, and the Hellions certainly aren't going to help him at all.
Right. So let's see here now. Looks like the Marine that got the kill is now on duty here over near the Selnaga Tower. Second factory.
To be successful.
Yeah, very much so.
That's right.
As had nothing to do with the other 4 Marines that were brought to help him. No,
I don't think
all
so.
him.
Yep.
And
Gets all the glory.
Polt's now actually adding on a 3rd barracks and a starport. So once again, Polt's going with the bio builds. That's very tried and true Polt. Taking a look at his vision, though, he did just scan. He picks up on the second factory coming up right away.
Yeah, that's a big deal, too. To see that second factory, that gives him a really good indication of what Show is going for. It's going to be this really economy-heavy mech-style play out of him. And I'm curious to see if he's going to just start adding on tanks for safety's sake, or if he's going to go straight up to a tech lab for Blue Flame Hellions instead. I think it wouldn't be surprising at all to see him kind of get some map control, some Hellions, and then also do some drops with Blue Flame as well. Even after the nerf, they still can be pretty effective in TVT. But yeah, over on Polt's side, like you mentioned earlier, clearly going bio. I mean, he's a Terran player, one of the few out there that says, I'm pretty much just going to go bio until I can't anymore. And if the StarCraft 2 metagame kind of stays similar to the way it is now, I don't know if there will ever really be a time where bio won't be viable.
Well, you've heard a lot of things. This Marine actually does snag an SCV kill, so kind of cool for Polt there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've heard a lot of players that have said, you know, theoretically, if your control is 100%, if you're immaculate, if you're basically playing like Automaton or something like that, the Marines are the best unit in the game if you can, because they will have the highest DPS at that point. So, you know, Polt with immaculate control is able to win a lot of situations where their opponents have set up great positioning. Certainly, I think we'll see more effective mech strategies come out over the next year. But it is important to note how good bio can be if your control is on point.
Well, I mean, bio has been kind of criticized as being sort of the dumb quote-unquote way to play. You know, you just make Marine Marauder medevac and you throw it at your opponent until they're dead, right? That's kind of how a lot of people think of bio. But a lot of the good bio players play it in a very cerebral way, Polt definitely being one of them. I mean, he's usually all over the map with it. He's usually very, very conscious of where he's positioning things. It's definitely not as mindless as it appears sometimes.
I definitely agree.
So I love watching Polt play bio in TVT.
Yep, and so he is going to move out with that first 10-minute attack that's going to hit with Stim, Combat Shields, +1, not quite going to be finished up because he did invest in 2 engineering bays, so delay those upgrades just a bit so we could start them both at once.
Right.
But, you know, Show, he does have a couple of siege tanks. Actually unsieges them, and Polt is going to be able to make his way through. Stim's up, and now finally going after these Hellions. Looks like he does kind of stop in the range of the siege tanks, though, so has to back up.
Yep, a little bit of a dicey moment there for Show, but he is just fine. I'm glad that he did choose to go with tanks in this case, too, because, you know, imagine if he had gone for Blue Flame and he had just had a bunch of Hellions. That wouldn't have really helped him a whole lot in that case. He still would have been able to hold off the attack, but he wouldn't have been able to hold it off so effectively. But with this Hellion tank composition, he should be pretty safe as far as his 3 paces go. I think we're going to see Polt probably respond to this by throwing down a lot more command centers, just trying to expand a ton, get his production really, really high, and then just kind of starve his opponent out on 3 bases. He likes to do that in this sort of situation.
Most certainly. And Show has been playing this effectively, though. A great defensive position setup that covers both of these ramps with the same siege tank. So limits the maneuverability of Polt. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But Polt does have a pretty good amount of units out now and is about to finish up 1-1 upgrades. Of course, the Armory coming a little bit later, and Show just going after +1 vehicle weapons while Blue Flame comes up now. Really prioritizing Hellions through all of this, though. A massive, massive amount of Hellions there, and only just a smattering of tanks to go along with this.
Yeah, that's kind of usually how you do it in this particular case. You want kind of to over-make quote-unquote Hellions just because you know you're going to have to engage that big bioforce. You need a lot of buffer. You need to kind of buy your siege tanks time to do damage when you're going for this sort of composition. So, you know, a lot of players will just make tons of Hellions. That also gives you the option to have Hellions out on the map in the mid to late game, looking for expansions, denying other expansions, looking for opportunities to run by without really weakening your overall army. So, yeah, Show is definitely one of the best mech TVTers outside of Korea, and, you know, he's showing it right now. He's got 3 very secure bases. He took a little bit of a risk early in the game, but if you look at the supply, it really paid off. And anytime you get over that, 150 supply mark when you're playing mech in TVT, you can start to kind of think about moving out. And actually, yeah, we do see Show moving out at least with some Hellions.
Yes, he is. Loses 2 of those, but gets a read on when his opponent is moving out. Also forces a stim out of him as well. So Show just pulling back to that defensive tank position one more time. He is going to be maxed pretty quickly, though, especially going up against an opponent who is playing bio the way that Polt is. You know, usually get supply very, very quickly. It was impressive to see the macro skill of Show really coming out here in this game. Both players putting up a ton of command centers. Pre-15-minute mark, we're actually going to be sitting on, let's see, that's going to be 6 command centers for SjoW and 5 for Polt. So we'll be on 11 command centers pre 15 minutes. Shows you how far this game has come.
Well, this is actually one of the fastest mech maxes I've seen a Terran player do. SjoW just really, really going for that 200 really fast. The only problem, the only thing I worry about in this case is that he's sacrificed his upgrades big time to do it. You can see that he only has +1 attack right now. Doesn't have +1 armor even yet. And that's going to be a bit of a problem. Polt's already got 2-2. That's going to make him much, much more durable when it comes to the actual fights here. So SjoW definitely taking a bit of a risk trying to go for numbers rather than quality of units, and then just kind of count on his ability to sort of zone Polt out to then catch up in the upgrades later on as he kind of expands. So
still a very impressive 14.5-minute max on mech, though. I mean, it's very cool to see.
I like it. It's not a bad plan. It's just kind of every strategy has its certain elements of risk to it, too. And just the way that Polt's playing it makes me a little bit worried for SjoW. But we'll have to see. I mean, Polt's doing what bio players need to do, kind of throwing up expansions here and there. Continuing to really focus on the upgrades.
So he's actually going to be on 6 command centers, which means that we're now going to be on a total, okay, those are just factories coming up, so 12 command centers in this game. So we could be setting up for a 4-hour-long TVT.
Yeah. I love what Polt is doing right now. He's doing that drop, which is cool, but he's also putting down a fusion core. This has been like the really popular late-game transition in bio. You go Marine Marauder Medevac and then transition into battle cruisers, because a lot of times meching players will see you going bio, not make a lot of Vikings, and it makes it really easy for you to get that air advantage and then keep it and then win the game with battle cruisers. So that's kind of what Polt's going for here. Very cool to see. You don't get to see TVTs get to this point very often anymore.
And there are yet more command centers being constructed. Looks like Polt going to try and drop in now. Will lose one of the medevacs with a couple of units inside of it. Shouldn't lose too much. Well, actually, does lose a second medevac, though, but does have a lot of forces up, as you kind of mentioned before. So he is going to be able to effectively deny the natural, but the forces are coming back for SjoW. However, that leaves kind of a gap, and we'll see if Polt takes advantage of this and runs around the left-hand side.
Yeah, well, I mean, the kind of gap that the narrow choke, rather, that SjoW needed to squeeze through made it a little bit tougher for him to deal with this army early on. And yeah, Polt's going to use this to attack the 4th, and what a great timing for that.
Yeah, he crushes through the siege tanks that were up at the front. SjoW already trying to heal up this planetary fortress as quickly as possible. It has actually snagged a few kills. But when all is said and done, both players trading basically equally. SjoW did have his base denied for a while, but no real lasting damage. Didn't lose a command center. However, this did allow Polt to establish bases 5, potentially 6, 7, and maybe even 8. So.
Yep, the big thing SjoW needs to worry about is that there will be a point where he's just not going to be able to keep up with the trades that Polt's going to want to force on him. Looks like Polt, though, isn't really going to play that style. He's actually making 3 battle cruisers at once right now, making Vikings. Yeah, and if you don't see this coming, you will lose to it every time. SjoW needs to do some scouting here. It's kind of his Achilles heel as a player in general, but you really need to pay attention to what your opponent's doing, especially at this point in the game. I think he's about to be surprised by some battle cruisers.
And as we can see, he did the initial scout way back in the beginning of the game, and that is all. That's all he knows about his opponent. Polt is taking advantage of that. Going up to his 9th command center here pre-19 minutes. This is pretty exceptional. So, SjoW, you know, he's really got to defend a pretty big attack that's coming out. Good decision here by Polt to just kind of snipe these missile turrets and give himself some room to lift up onto the high ground if he needs.
Yep. Kind of trying to do some maneuvering here. He's trying to play a very defensive, very sort of tanky style, I guess. No pun intended, really, with that. But he likes to turtle up in this particular situation. But I don't know, if Polt moves out with like 6 battle cruisers and a bunch of Vikings along with it, I don't know. I'm just like waiting for the moment. I love TVTs that get to this. This is such a. It's almost kind of funny a little bit. It puts a smile on my face.
Oh, yeah. And we do have Yamato cannon being researched as well. Or, I'm sorry, weapon refits, but at least it does have the correct picture now. So, hooray! Well, SjoW, he added on quite a few Thors as well, sitting on 2-2 upgrades, going up to 3-3, and it looks like he wants to push in a little bit of an engagement. He does force a stim out of Polt. Polt is forced to run away. I don't think he's dropping anywhere, though.
This should really give SjoW a clue, too. He's like, all right, you're playing bio, but you're not really being that aggressive. You're kind of just letting me sort of do what I want right now. Why are you doing that? You know, something should be sort of tingling in the back of SjoW's mind that tells him that Polt's not just going to stay on bio. Yeah, his SjoW sense should be tingling. SjoW sense. I don't know.
This is I know I'm harping on the point a little bit, but my God, there are so many bases up in this game already. This is actually insane. This is one of those where we're getting close to needing to screen cap this because it's unbelievable how many command centers are out on the map. And yeah, I think I see what you're oohing at.
I'm excited about that. Well, I'm excited about Hellions getting some awesome kills here as well, but I'm more excited about Seeker Missile being researched by SjoW.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Cool.
SjoW is actually denying quite a few bases here, and Polt trying to move up with the big drop. Unfortunately, he gets one of those medevacs cut. Another one may go down here pretty quickly as well, and it looks like it will, but a lot of units are dropped in for Polt at the moment, and he is continuing to do a little bit of damage. We'll be able to pick off a few of these tanks at the same time as his number of battlecruisers continues to grow.
Exactly. The thing to consider here is that Polt doesn't necessarily care that he's losing these units. I mean, it's kind of intentional. He wants to clear up supply to get a lot of battlecruisers, a lot of Vikings out, get that big late game Terran air army going. And so, yeah, he's kind of just letting it happen. He's really not even caring too much about some of his bases that are getting stopped by Hellions, too, because of his money. I mean, look at that. 4,000 minerals, 2,000 gas.
Yeah.
He is so set for this late game. It's unbelievable.
Oh, my God. He already has 5 battle cruisers out with +2 ship plating. +3 is on the way now, and we have +1 ship weapons coming up and about ready to finish. So, SjoW is on quite a few bases. I mean, at this stage of the game, we'd be like, oh, 5-base Terran, that's quite a bit. But well, I'm sorry, but Polt has everything else on the map. This is actually the only base that's not being utilized right now. That's remarkable.
Yeah, Polt will probably take that sometime soon. But it looks like with SjoW having Seeker Missile and having a good Thor count, he's ready to kind of move out here. And here we go. This is going to be a pretty awesome fight, I think.
Yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. I'm looking forward to this. More Ravens are being added to the mix as well. This is the only one that's sitting overhead. Was forced to use a little bit of its energy before, so no Seeker Missile, of course. 125 to go for that. So, here comes Polt charging up those Yamato cannons, firing on the Thors. A lot of those are very, very low. The battlecruisers sitting overhead now with their +1 attacks, ripping through quite a few units. The Thors are falling very quickly, and the Viking count is starting to do a little bit of damage to the battlecruisers, but there's just so much overhead, it's going to be incredibly difficult for SjoW to get anything done.
Yeah, now SjoW's going to try to pull Polt over his turrets to see if that'll help a little bit. That plus armor really, really helping those battlecruisers live a long time. And the mules, not necessarily mana, those are actually repair mules this time around. And this is what you do. Polt showing us how to play late game TVT.
One battlecruiser does go down, and the Thors actually going after the battlecruisers, and that's not going to be enough.
GG.
There's the GG, and battlecruisers winning game number 1 for TSL.Polt.